Cool. All right, we're rolling, guys. Just get comfy for us, everyone.
You ready for it?
Yes.
It's going to be good.
I think so.
You think so? All right, everyone's good?
Yep.
How are you today, Bruce?
Oh, I'm good, thanks, Alex. Yourself?
Very well. Are you excited to be here today to do this interview?
Oh, yes, I am. It's time of apprehension. You know, we're here to talk about my career of 35 years. So, yes, I'm apprehensive because of, it's the end of a milestone and the beginning of a new direction in my life.
Well, I'm excited to get into it. Looking back on your career, it's very impressive.
Thank you.
So let's get into it. Bruce, you grew up in Queensland before joining the Northern Territory Police Force in 1989. Tell us about that.
Yes, I come from fairly humble beginnings. I was raised on a farm with my parents and three brothers. We went into pineapple farming in the end, and so I grew up in a place called Gympie in Queensland, where we were contributors to the society as being farmers. I then, after school, I went and started my own pineapple farm. I leased a block of land, and during that period, had the worst hailstorm in history, lost everything, and then I saw the ad in the newspaper for North Territory Police Force and decided, why not? Give it a go.
What inspired you to become a police officer, and how has that motivation changed you over the years?
Initially, I wasn't inspired to be a police officer. As stated, I lost everything in a hailstorm and I saw the ad in the paper. I actually ran into a ex-North Territory police officer at a local pub near where we used to live, and he talked about the police force days, and that encouraged me to apply for the North Territory Police Force. And once I got here, that's when I became inspired. Just the experiences, the wonder and diversity of the Northern Territory, the people I was working with, it made me really want to be a police officer in the Northern Territory.
I'm going to show you this photo, Bruce. This was when you first joined.
Yes.
Can you take me back to that day?
That was when we first joined, we were in plain clothes. In the first week you get your uniform. So we had all our uniform, we were putting it on, and we were all taking photos of each other once we put all our uniform on and our accoutrements on. So that is within my first week of training, where I was a very young and very skinny young police officer.
So how do you think policing has changed over the last 35 years?
Policing's changed a lot. Like when I first joined, we were in khaki. We had little triangle shoulder patches on our shirt, which just said Northern Territory Police, that was it. We were very community orientated. We had to talk to the community. We didn't have accoutrements back then. The only accoutrement you wore was a set of handcuffs. The only time you were allowed to wear a gun was on night shift. So you're actually part of the community, you're talking to the community, and the actual khaki uniform, it gave us an identity as an North Territory police officer, and it, I believe, assisted in us being community police officers because we were actually part of the community. It's changed significantly. I believe we changed when we changed our uniform, because our uniform has become more authoritarian. It's a very dark uniform. We basically lost, I believe we lost our identity as North Territory Police when we changed our uniform. But policing back then too, it was basic. It was traditional policing. We didn't have computer systems. We didn't have mobile phones. Even a breath test, the old saying used to blow into the bag. Well, it used to actually be a plastic bag, and you'd have to break ends off a glass tube with had crystals in it. You put that tube in the bag and you blow, and the colour of the crystals will change. That's how we used to do breath tests. Communication with remote stations all through HF radio. Everything was paper-based. Everything was typewriters. Even when we'd done a record interview with an offender, you'd have to put 3 pieces of paper in the typewriter, and you'd type out the question, ask the question, they'd answer, you'd type out the answer. So it was a very long and tedious process. Everything was paper-based.
Can you remember a time where you were using a typewriter and then you started using a computer?
Yes, I do. Everything was type. So when we started, we actually had the old clack bang typewriters. Then we went to electric typewriters, which we thought was the bee's knees. But then, is within the first few years, we started using computers, but it was very basic systems. We didn't have a actual police data management or police management database, and it wasn't until about 10 years of my job is when the Promise system come in, when we actually had a true computer-based case management system.
I can't believe Promise is 10 years. So what did you used to do prior to that?
Everything was on paper. Even when you're in communications, a job would come in, you would type the information on what was called a crime and inquiry card. You had a different colour for each crime type. You dispatch the unit, then the unit would respond back with the results, and then you'd type those results on the card, and everything was stored on cards. Everything was just paper-based. Even for court, we used to have to type out our own affidavits, our informations, used to type out the summonses. Everything was just paper.
It's a totally different time back then.
It was, but it was a good time because you had more of a work-life balance. Because nowadays with technology and mobile devices, everything's 24/7. You didn't have 24/7 back those days.
So tell us about your time in the Territory Response Group. You were there for 7 years.
Yes, it's just over 7 years I spent in the Territory Response Group. I went there after 2 years of service. So I'd done all the basic Territory Response Group activities and training, but I specialised in becoming a bomb technician. So I became recognised as one of the highest qualified bomb technicians in Australia, which also then resulted in myself and 2 other TRG bomb techs going to the Sydney Olympics to be part of the emergency response team down there for the Olympics.
What made you so interested in becoming a bomb technician?
It was after I got into the Territory Response Group and being exposed to the bomb side of the house, just the thrill of, it was a thrill of dealing with the danger, I guess, for a better term, the danger of dealing with explosives, the ability to work through and disarm devices, and just the feeling, honestly, the feeling of when an explosion occurs and you get the blast wave from that explosion, it just made me feel like that was part of the industry that I wanted to be.
I'm going to hand you these 2 photos. This was during your time in the Territory Response Group. Can you tell me what's happening in these photos?
Well, the first photo is when I was down at Bandiana in New South Wales. That is where I was actually undertaking my basic bomb technician course. So I'm there utilising or working on the bomb robot, which was an echidna. It was called an echidna at that time. So that was setting up an actual water charge on the bomb robot to go disarm a device. And in the second photo is, as bomb technician, we used to do explosive entries into buildings. So this is practicing explosive entries into buildings, where I would set up the explosive charge on the doors to actually blow it for the entry team to then go in.
How different is that kind of scenario to what you see in the movies?
Not really different. The movies are really based on real life anyway. But what you see in the movies is stuff that we actually do or used to do in the Territory Response Group, because we were the elite group of the Northern Territory to do everything basically that was dangerous and too hard for anyone else to do.
Policing was generally known as a dangerous profession. Do you think that, do you still think it's dangerous?
Oh yes, it's a very dangerous profession, but we deliver, or everyone gets provided really high level training. They get taught the basics of how to do policing, and then they put that into practical practice in the field. It's all about risk assessment and making sure you do the right thing at all times, which then reduces the risk or danger to yourself and others around you.
So the Olympics was held in Sydney in the year 2000, and you travelled down as the bomb technician as part of the security team. Tell me about that experience.
Oh, it was an amazing experience. So there was 9 police officers from all other police jurisdictions sent down to New South Wales as bomb technicians. I was one of those 9. We formed part of the overall emergency response team to deal with any incidents that occurred at the Olympics. So I got to meet a lot of people and make a lot of new friends and meet a lot of other specialists from other areas or other jurisdictions during that time. Working in the actual Olympics themselves and meeting athletes and dignitaries and protecting them, looking after them, it was an experience that can never be taken away. It's a once in a lifetime experience for anyone to undertake in their career, and it's not very often we have the Olympics in Australia, and it's been a privilege that I was able to, in my career, to be able to undertake such a role and be part of that part of the history of Australia.
You would have a totally different, memory of the Olympics to what, most of the community would have, because you were behind the scenes, keeping a watchful eye on everyone there. How did it feel when, your supervisor said to you, we're going to go down to Sydney and do this?
Oh, it was the proudest moment of my life, and like I said, I was privileged to actually be asked as I went down as the senior TRG person for the Sydney Olympics, and to be thought of to be that qualified in that high level, to be thought of to be actually sent to the Olympics, was a very proud moment in my life.
It's pretty cool. I saw the photos with you and some of the athletes as well. I think you made the newspaper with one of them too.
Yes, with gold medalist Inge de Bruin, the swimmer from the Netherlands. And I was also present there when Kathy Freeman won the 400 metre track event. So that was a very memorable moment because in that stadium with that crowd when Kathy Freeman won that 400 metres, it was a noise that I've never heard or experienced before in my entire life.
Got a photo here, and it looks as if you are in front of the track at the time, not when Kathy happened, but tell us about that photo.
Well, the photo is the good part about being part of the emergency response team. You had access to everywhere in the Olympics, access to all the venues. So this was actually right up the top of the Olympic Stadium in Sydney, where you're looking down on all the crowd and the actual arena. And being up there, it's basically the eye of an eagle, being able to see everything and hear everything, it really was, like I said, a moment that you'll never forget.
Gets a bit more personal from you. How has your work as a police officer affected you personally?
Well, it's been my life. I've been a police officer for nearly 35 years. It'll be 35 years when my retirement takes effect. The people that I've worked with, my friends, my colleagues, my peers, they've all been part of my life for 35 years. I've been serving right across all parts of the Northern Territory within those 35 years. I've always upheld my oath to serve and protect without fear or favour. I've been very proud of my career. I've been very proud of not just my career, but myself being part of other people's careers, being part of living and working within the Northern Territory. So it's actually made me who I am. There's been don't get me wrong, there's been a lot of tough times being a police officer. I've been involved in a lot of dicey incidents, for a better term, but it's made me strong and it's made me the person that I am today. And I am extremely proud to have been given the opportunity to be a member of the Northern Territory Police Force, because to me it's the best police force in Australia, and I've always been proud to call myself a Northern Territory Police officer.
What does serve and protect without fear or favour mean to you?
What it means is that everything you do is with honesty and integrity. So everything everything that I've done and what I pride myself on is my honesty and integrity. Is that no matter who you are, whatever you've done, I will treat you fairly and I will not judge you. I will treat you the same as everyone else and just deal with everything on its own merits and deal with it on what evidence is faced. That's one of the biggest issues I find nowadays with Northern Territory Police. It used to be a career. Now people don't treat it as a career, they just treat it as a job. The change that I've noticed is back in the early days, there was no such thing as sick leave. No one took sick leave. Everyone's committed to being at work. Everyone worked towards a goal. Everyone helped out. Everyone took ownership of any mistakes or issues that they caused. Whereas nowadays, I find that a lot of the members, it's all about self. It's what they can get out of it, and they only do it as a job. They don't do it as a career. That's not everyone, but I have found that change has occurred within the Northern Police Force, which to me is a very, very sad day. But it's still a great agency, a great police force, and I do hope that it will gain strength and become the police force that I used to know.
What do you think you'll miss the most about the job?
The people. As like I said, it's been 35 years. I've worked right across the territory. I've worked alongside and with the people. I've made friends. I've made numerous acquaintances and lifelong friends. And they're the ones that have moulded me as a person. So the thing that I always enjoy, even now when I get up, I have pride in putting my uniform on, but it's actually coming to work and working with the people. So I just love the people I work with, and that's what I'm going to miss the most.
I'm going to show you a photo now of you and your mum. And this was when you received your Australian Police Medal.
Yes.
What did your mum say to you when you said, I wanted to become a police officer?
Oh, I think it was a shock. As I said, I never finished high school. So my mum was proud. She said, go there and do the best I can. The issue was her father, my grandfather, Pop. He told Mum that within 2 weeks I'd be back with tail between my legs, that I won't succeed. And the one thing I do remember was when Mum and Dad and my youngest brother come up for my graduation in December '89. She told me it was the proudest moment of her life, and that she could also then basically place it back against her father that I did succeed and that she has a very proud son, that she's very proud of her son. So
It must have been nice to have her, there supporting you throughout your 35 years.
it was.
You were appointed as the Assistant Commissioner in 2021. Looking back on your career, is there anything you would have done differently and why? No, I don't think so. I probably spent a little bit too long in the Territory Response Group, as I went there fairly young in my career, so it took away some of the opportunities for me to do further things across policing in my younger career, and it held me back a little bit from seeking promotional opportunities. But I don't regret being in TRG, but I probably stayed there a little bit too long. But once I left TRG, I broadened my horizons, and I've served, like I said, right across the Northern Territory in a variety of positions. I've gone through all the ranks. I've even undertaken the position of Acting Deputy Commissioner. So I think I've achieved what I've set out to achieve, and I'm proud to be leaving as I am leaving, because I think that I've achieved everything that I possibly could in my time within my 35 years. What is the biggest challenge facing law enforcement today? You mentioned that, the agency has changed since when you first started, but what are some of the other challenges facing law enforcement?
It's not traditional policing anymore. The world's very accessible. There's a lot of complexities with policing nowadays. There's the introduction of the internet and social media platforms, technology, crime has changed. Crime's become very technological. Organised crime, they work back in those dark depths of the dark web and other things. Crime has become really well known now through the communities. It's really publicised through social media and other media platforms. So it's really high on the list of public perception, and crime is expanding, especially youth crime and also our social behaviours. Policing nowadays, you can't do it alone. We don't have the resources, the budget, and we're restricted with the legislative frameworks. So we need to work in partnership with all agencies and groups to problem solve and work towards the safety of the community as a whole. Policing just can't be a sole entity anymore.
So finally, what message would you like to share with the community as you retire from your long and dedicated service as a police officer of nearly 35 years?
Yes, I'd actually like to thank the community of the Northern Territory, because I class myself now as a Territorian. I've been here 35 years. I've spent my entire policing career in the Northern Territory. I've got to know so many community members. I've had impact on so many lives within the community. And I just want to thank the community for allowing me to be part of their lives, allowing me to be there to serve and protect them, and to allow me to grow to be the person I am today. And that I fully encourage anyone who has such a desire to actually apply for the North Church Police Force, because it is a job and a career that you'll never forget.
That's all the questions I have, but just on that last one there, you attend the graduations of all the recruits, and you get to sit there and witness them take their oath, and go out into the community and serve and protect, which is what you signed up to do 35 years ago. What advice do you have for these recruits, to have that long career for the next 35 years?
Don't take it too serious. Go live it. If you have a bad day, shrug it off, be with friends, because you're going to have a rewarding career. You're going to be doing things and seeing things that no other person will ever experience, and you should take that as a privilege, and it will grow you as a person and also as a police officer, and you'll be proud of what you do.
Well, Bruce, it's been lovely to sit down with you today. I wish you all the best for your retirement, and on behalf of the community, I would like to just say thank you for all your service.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap.
Is that it?